Good morning, everyone. I'm here with Bratby. He's the sales manager at Wiseberry Heritage on the Central Coast in New South Wales, Australia. How are you, Kurt?
Yeah, going well, Thomas. Yourself?
Excellent. Just maybe before we start, can you just introduce yourself a little bit? What's your story?
Yeah, okay. So, as Thomas mentioned, my name's Kurt Bratby. Originally born in Bankstown. Lived on the Central Coast for the majority of my life. 28 now. Actually, just turned 29.
That's
been
pretty young, man.
It is pretty young, yeah. I've been in real estate for 9 years now. So started when I was 20.
9 years. Okay. So, what did you do before real estate?
I left school actually to become a manager at KFC, funny enough. And I got out of that before real estate and got into carpet sales.
Right.
So that's when I experienced, I suppose, my first bit of selling. And then I knew my principal, Darren Butcher, from when I was about 12 or 13. I used to do his letterbox drops. And so I actually wasn't happy where I was at the time, so I actually was looking around for a new career or something different. So I jumped online and had a look around, and I seen that Darren was looking for salespeople. So I put my resume to him, and he gave me a call the next day, and I asked him if he remembered who I was, and he said, yeah, I do. He said, it's just been a matter of time. I've been waiting for you to come to me. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So here's an interesting question. Do we do things in lives and find out we are unhappy, and then therefore we keep on digging until we find that thing that we really want to do? Or some people think, well, real estate's a vocation. What do you think?
I don't think real estate's a vocation, unfortunately. Yeah, look, I wasn't happy, so I knew there was something more I wanted to do. I had an interest in property. My mother, she had a big interest for property as well. I think that kind of transpired over to me. So I knew there's something bigger and better out there for me, and I wanted to obviously get success, had goals that I wanted to achieve, and I wanted, I suppose, to prove a lot of people that I could do something that people didn't think I could.
Yeah. So may I ask you, Kurt, now, what do you think it takes to be a great salesperson?
Discipline's probably the number one, but I think staying humble is probably another quality, but also being able just to interact with all types of people. I think, from CEOs to people, the everyday blue Australian. I think, you just got to know how to interact with everyone. I think makes a good salesperson.
So when you said earlier about staying humble, I mean, I actually very rarely see a salesperson or a great salesperson who's humble, and they all think that they hot shots,
That's right, and I think they get caught up probably in the the scheme of having to have the best cars and suits and things like that. I think that goes back to maybe their association. I think I'm quite lucky. I've got friends that strive for a lot of things in life in terms of businesses and investments and nice cars and things. But then I've got other friends in life that actually strive just to go away camping for the weekend. So I think I've got the best of both worlds that keeps me, I suppose, grounded and also humbled.
Yeah. So which brings me back to the first thing that you were talking about. I don't see too many 21-year-olds being that focused or being that committed to the one thing. Quite often, and I've been recruiting now over the last almost 20 years, and I have interviewed personally over 4,000 people. So sometimes I see a 21-year-old with heads on their shoulders. Sometimes I see 21-year-old who tell me a lot of great things, and then it fizzles out. Yep. Sometimes I see 21-year-old who do a lot of talking, but there's no action.
Yeah.
What is it that you have to get into a field that's so competitive? And at the age of 28, you're now a manager of a great team.
Yeah. I think it's just in a drive. I think sometimes you're born with it. I think sometimes you want to be not better than everyone else, but you want to be the best person of yourself, I suppose.
So what is it about you that has that inner drive, and what is it about you that wants to be better than anybody else?
Yeah, look, I was born with what some people call as a disability, but to me it's not. So saying that word's obviously a bit hard. But to me, throughout school and things like that was quite hard. Kids aren't really nice people,
yes,
as you know. So I think that gave me kind of a desire to really prove to people that, it doesn't matter what you've got, where you come from, that you can have whatever you want in life. And I think that was been a big driver in the last kind of 10 plus years.
For our audience, do you mind sharing your disability?
Yeah, so I actually was born with a defect at birth. From my understanding, it was actually the birth cord was wrapped around my hand during pregnancy.
Yes.
So therefore it couldn't form to a normal hand. So I've got all movement, and I still do a lot of things that most people think that I probably couldn't. But yeah, was it from a birth defect.
Yeah, so for a lot of people, that growing up, and as you said, children can be real savages.
Yeah.
A lot of people will close back into their shells. They will probably hide from society.
Yeah,
so
correct.
what is it that where is it you found that strength to just go forward in the opposite direction?
I think I was just motivated. They just motivated me, I'd seen kids around me at similar ages not doing much. I had a good work ethic from, I think, my parents. I'd seen them kind of struggle through life, and I didn't really want to be the same. I don't mind putting in extra time and effort. And I think it just come back to, a bit of everything. I don't know, I wouldn't say it's luck, but I'd say it's just there's two ways in life you can look at things. You can even say, poor me, or you can say, well, this is what I've got given. Let's move forward and work with it. And I think that's what I did.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you said three things, right? So we need the discipline, staying humble, and the ability to interact with other people.
You're correct, yeah.
Is there anything else that I need to have if I wish to become a great salesperson?
I think you've got to have a good mentor as well. And also, you've got to put self-training into yourself. Don't rely on other people, rely on yourself.
Can we just go back? What do you define as a mentor?
A mentor is someone that's obviously been there, they've done it, they've proven it, you know what I mean? Not somebody that's probably just telling you how to do something, but you can see them in the trenches, or you can see that the success that they've done or had. I think that's a mentor, someone that you can call to in your darkest hour and be honest with and upfront with, and hopefully that you can trust them as well. I think that's a big part of being a mentor. So
I guess Darren Butcher was your mentor.
Correct, yeah.
Now, was there any tough time with your mentor?
No, I think he's. I think there hasn't been any tough times at all. Like, he's been cruel to be kind, but I think that's only helped me. He's a big believer in stretching people as well. So I think where I thought in my head was, okay, I can do this, I've got to kind of my maximum level, he would then again stretch me, I think, which was really good. So no, I don't think there's been any tough times. There's been times where I haven't wanted to do what he's obviously asked of, but I could see the bigger picture too. So he's quite a positive person, and I know that he wants the best for me. So yeah. I don't think there's been any tough times at all. Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Now, after how many years of sales did you get offered that position in management? Yep. So it was around 3 years in sales. So I just changed offices from the Charmhaven office to the Heritage office. And I was there for about a year and a half underneath Kimberly. And then Darren decided that he was going to open up a Hoang office. And he asked me, to my surprise, to be the manager down there. At the time, I had a partner that was very wary of it. She didn't really want me to grow and extend myself, but I knew that was probably going to be the next opportunity I could have. So today you're a manager of a team of how many salespeople, Kurt? We've got 10 in our team, including myself. Okay, so what would be the highest number of listings on a monthly basis that as a team you guys bring in? Around 45. 45, and what about sales? Around the same, around 35 to 40. Yes, yeah. I mean, I think that your record was that at one stage in the Wyong Shire, you guys sold 48.6% of all sales in that 1 year. Yeah, that's correct. Remember? Yeah. And 48.6% of the market share in the Wyong Shire, that's not small, because I think that year there was about roughly close to 1,500 sales being made. Yeah, that's correct, yeah. Right? That's an amazing number. So how do you keep on pushing people to perform at that level day in, day out? I mean, at some stage, don't you have a burnout effect? Yeah, definitely. You do see that from salesperson to salesperson, but I think the benefit of having a large team is if you've got 1 or 2 people down in that quarter or that month, then usually someone else is up, so it kind of levels itself back out. Right. And that's what I've always seen as a big benefit of having a large team, is that if you only got 2 or 3 people, then if one's down or two's down, then your whole month's down. Where if you've got a large team, obviously you don't miss it as much. But yeah, you're right, there are people that burn out, and I think you've got to go back to, I suppose, making your office fun. A good work environment's definitely there, because you spend more time there than usually you do at home sometimes. And I think you've just got to work out what their actual reason for being there is, and obviously help them with their goals and help them achieve what they want to achieve. Okay, so which now really leads me to that next question straight away. How do you take someone from mediocrity to greatness? Time and training. What do you mean by time? Time, it takes time. Like,
Oh, it takes time for them to get good, so you can afford to just wait. But what about Darren? What if he says, I can't afford to pay him to and wait for him to get good?
Yeah. Well, then you invest time in them. Yeah. So, and also, I suppose you mentor them, you train them. You know, you pretty much have to put all your focus into them to get them up and running, and also you help them. So, just small things. You know, going out with presentations with them to help them coming out with you, seeing how you do things. You know, helping them out with giving them some open homes or some buyers to work, or not being greedy, I suppose, and actually trying to help them get a bit of a roll on straight away.
Okay, so do you ever give up on someone?
No, you try not to. But if someone's given up on themselves, it's quite hard for you to keep going and believing that they can do it. I'm a big believer in, it's probably 80% them, 20% you,
Right.
So, yeah, sometimes you unfortunately do have to give up.
So do you give up, or is it Darren who gives up first?
Interesting question. I'll probably give up first. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've known Darren for a few years now. He seems to see goodness where there's not even a drop of it now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's good. So tell me, what was tougher, starting as a salesman or starting as a sales manager?
I think starting as a salesperson was tougher. Yeah, I think by the time I got the promotion opportunity to be a sales manager, I kind of had picked up a lot of skill and, I suppose, training from people around me. So I think that starting as a salesperson was definitely probably a lot harder. New people, new industry, it was quite, I suppose, frightening to begin with. Okay.
Do you think managers are born or are they made?
I think they're born. Yeah. I think that you can definitely tell someone that's a leader apart to a follower when you meet someone.
Let's distinguish leaders and managers, though, right?
Yep.
To me, a manager has to be able to look after the system and get manpower to really work around the system to highest efficiency.
Yep.
Where leaders probably it's about the ability to develop the people within the organization. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as a manager, I always say that you're the meat between what is it?
Yeah, the sandwich. Yeah. Yeah.
And
between the salespeople and the leader.
That's right. If salespeople are unhappy, they go to you.
Correct.
If the leader is unhappy, they also go to you. So you almost pulled on both sides.
Yeah.
So really, are managers really born?
Yeah, I do believe so. Yeah, because there's a lot of times there where your leader might not be around and you're fulfilling that job role as well.
Right.
So day-to-day basis, you're pretty much with your team. So they're looking for you for how to get the next sale or result and things like that. So I think that, I think you are born as a leader. And I think, within the first kind of meeting of someone, you can tell whether they are a leader or, happy just to follow along.
But I have seen leaders who are bad managers.
Yeah.
And I have seen managers who are bad leaders. Just as much as I've also seen like salespeople who can't manage.
Yeah. Of course.
Yes?
Yeah.
So there is a distinction between the two, but you think that both leaders and managers are born?
Correct.
You can't make a manager.
Well, some leaders might not be proper leaders. They might be in a position where they're a great salesperson, which means that they've been able to open up their own office to become a leader.
Yeah.
But there's probably some sales managers that aren't in that position or don't want to be in that position, but are happy to be a leader, or a manager, I suppose. So I think at the end of it, it's just depending on the individual person. But to answer your question, definitely born, I believe.
Okay. Do you have any disagreement with your leader?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have some heavy discussions. Yeah, definitely. I think it's good. I don't think you should be a manager if you don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you just explain how that process goes and who wins in the end?
Yeah. So usually, it can be a range of things. It can be from recruitment or targets to set for the month or, competitions or things like that. But I think, usually Darren, the leader, he would actually come to us with an idea and he's really good because he usually runs it past us and then we give him our thoughts. And sometimes he doesn't agree with what we say back, but he's usually one to say no straight away, but then within 24 to 48 hours, he'll think about it and he'll come back to it, which is good from a leader's point of view because I think you need to be thinking about what's said. But yeah, look, we have run-ins, but at the end of the day, I think he appreciates the honesty and I appreciate the honesty back. And I think that's why we have a good relationship is because there's no stepping around my feelings or no stepping around his feelings. We're two mature blokes that can, have a bit of an argument and get along.
But what happens in the case when you're totally convinced of your position and he's
the two bulls in the ring?
His, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we do then? I mean, do we have two teams?
Yeah. Well, no, we don't. At the end of the day, it's his decision that counts. So if he's that firm on it and his outlook is different to mine and he believes his outlook is the best, then I've got to respect that. It's his business. He's got himself to that position. So he's got a lot more experience than what I do. Right. So I would respect whatever he decides.
So what would you tell people who are working under a manager or a leader who is unfair?
I'd probably say stand up for yourself a little bit, yeah.
Okay, but then to go back to what you just said, the leader is always right. So you have to stick behind his decision. Do you?
I do, yeah. Yeah, I do. Because your job as the manager is to actually back your leader up. There's no question of that. So although sometimes you might disagree and you put your case forward, doesn't mean you're always right.
Okay. So you would never disagree with your leader in public?
Correct. Yeah. No, that's a big no. Unless it's for something cultural or something that I think needs to be addressed in public or then and there, then I would. Because I think it's good for the team to see that you're not just a yes man to your leader.
Right.
You're actually on their side as well to a certain degree.
Right. So by cultural, you mean the set of values, the display of values in our behavior. That's cultural. Yeah,
that's
I
right.
understand that. So let's take a step further. Your leader has made a bad decision and he's standing firm on it.
Yeah.
How would you convince him to see the other way around?
It's a bit of a hard one. He's pretty hard to convince. But then again, I think facts, he's very much facts orientated. So, and sometimes time. So I would, wait maybe a day or two and then reassess and go sit with him or bring him some facts of why I think his decision's not correct. And he's pretty good in that way in terms he will listen. But to be honest, there isn't too many times that I don't disagree. We have different views, but he usually convinces me around. So,
well, a lot of people may say, hold on, he's talking very much like a yes man.
Yeah.
Are you a yes man?
No, I don't believe I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the biggest things that I have noticed in you are two things. One is when I first trained you, I remember there was a bit of an angry young man, right? And over the past few years, I have not seen him anymore. So what's happened? Where's that angry young man?
Yeah, it's funny because I never actually seen that in myself as a young man, but I do remember our conversation and, after my first recruitment training. And yeah, you're probably right. There was probably anger there. Being at 19, 20, I didn't really realise myself. But looking back, there was probably some anger from childhood, from bullies and things like that. That was probably what was there. So I was probably angry, but I think I turned that anger into motivation. I think that was the changing point. And then I've turned that into setting goals and getting the goals that I want. And that's turned me into, I suppose a better person, but a happier person. Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking that maybe you found wisdom in a loved one around you.
That a good partner does help, definitely.
Yeah. So there's another thing that a lot of people would like to know, and I want to ask you questions now more about, and that is balance. In the life of a real estate salesperson, there seems to be no balance or hardly any. A lot of people either decide to give themselves fully to the job, and then therefore they seem to lose a lot in their private life. A lot of people are giving into their private life, so they end up leaving the industry.
Yeah.
Now, your leader has complained to me about the fact that, you too much onto balance. And I said, but hold on, balance is the key. The balance is about longevity. This is why people keep on going for years, because they have balanced every other aspect of their life. So do you want to talk to us a bit about your balance, how you found it?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously with success comes freedom, and so sometimes you get into a position where you can take time off and obviously spend time with family or friends. And I'm happiest when I'm with my friends, or I'm happiest when I'm with my partner. So I think if you're at work, you're working, and I think a lot of people fall into the trap of, but I'm there 7 to 6, every day or 5 days a week or 4 days a week, but what are you doing in those 7 to 6 hours is the most important. If you can get done what you do in 7 to 6 in 9 to 5 or 10 to 4, then do it. So when you're there, work, and when you're not there, then relax is my motto. So I do get in the office from 7 o'clock usually to around 5 to 6, depending what appointments I have. But come the weekends, I try and make, I suppose, family time or my time. I think you've got to have good hobbies or interests, Real estate is an interest of mine, but after 5, 10-hour days, sometimes you do get over it. So I think the balance is that set yourself goals that you want to achieve in terms of, exchange dollars or money that you want to save, and then reward yourself, because it is very important. There's nothing more satisfaction than rewarding yourself with a trip to Europe for 4 or 6 weeks, or I like to have little goals too. So it might be this week I'm going to Bathurst. I've never been, but it's been a bucket list goal of mine. So
yes.
It might not be something big or expensive, but it's something where I go, well, I've worked hard, I can take 4 days off this week, and then I can go and enjoy it. Another one might be a band or a weekend away, or something small. It doesn't have to be a new car or a new house or something like that. So my balance, I think, has come from working hard while I was at work and putting in the hours and doing what I'm there, and then obviously taking my time off when I'm not there.
But it hasn't been always balanced over the last 8 years, right? So there's been real hard work for 3-4 years, and then is it when you started to find balance, or was it from day one?
Probably the first 3 or 4 years is definitely hard work.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably, you're not really in a position where you can take time off, depending where you are financially. But yeah, it was 3 or 4 years of hard work, and then after then, you start seeing, I suppose, the rewards of your hard work. So then you can start taking a bit of time off. So
okay.
I think you've got to be prepared. I always look at it like an apprenticeship. Your first 4 years as an apprenticeship is in any trade. So I think it's no different to real estate.
Right. I see a lot of leaders, even managers, who don't seem to really find that balance. It's an all or nothing. They either switched on or they totally off.
Yeah.
Is balance something you deserve or something you set up before you even start as a manager?
No, I think it's something you deserve. Yeah, definitely.
So you have to earn it.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So at what point in time do you know that you've earned the right to balance?
I think if you can get your team to be, I suppose, a team for so long. I think that's one of our big benefits. Our team has been the same people for so long. I think if you can get that for a number of years where it's the same team members, I think that's probably a good reward.
Okay, so that's good. So that's good. So first, it's to build a stable team,
yep.
Right? But so how many years is there a measure?
Oh, there isn't. But I would say probably 3 to 4 would be a measure of success. Usually, if they're going to leave in the first 12 months. So if you've got a team that's all been together for 3 or 4 years, you're doing a good thing.
Okay.
I think results as well. But also getting your team up to a level where they might not need you to a day-to-day basis, so then somebody else in the team can step up and take over from your position while you're away,
right?
Where you've got that balance, or while you're finding that balance.
Yeah. So you've gone a little bit fast. So when you said result, does it mean they have to return a consistent level of results before you even entertain balance?
I think so. Yeah. I think there's got to be a certain. You can't walk out on a team if they're not producing what they need to. If they're not making their targets, or they're not making their commission, or if the office isn't making their goals, then I don't think you really are entitled to walk out as a manager. Okay. I don't think you've done your job. Okay,
so let's go through those 3 points. One is the stability of the team. The other one is a consistent result.
Yeah.
And the third thing is that when you are no longer that needed or required on the day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
That's when you believe balance is something that you
Correct.
have earned the right to get. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What if one of those 3 happens to stumble now? Is that when you have to give up your balance?
Yeah, I think with market conditions too, things change. So, last 4 years, obviously, it's been great because it's probably been a lot easier, and you've been more guiding your team of where they need to go. And in recent times, things have changed. So I think you've got to look at where you're at on a day-to-day basis, first and foremost, and work out, a plan of attack if things aren't going right.
Right. Now, to finish this interview here, Kurt, what will be the 5 tips that you would want to share with people? 5 tips on what they need to be doing to be handpicked as a sales manager. So I'm a salesperson.
Yep.
What are the 5 things that you think I need to be doing now so that my leader notices me and chooses me as his next manager?
Yep. I think you've got to be a top performer, but you've also got to be a fair performer. I think.
What is fair?
Well, generous. I don't think you've got to be a generous salesperson. I don't think you can be a greedy salesperson to be a good sales manager. I think you've got to be fair to everyone in your team, and that probably goes into a team player.
So, hold on, is that your second point, or is it still part of your first point?
Still part of the first point,
Okay.
I'd say. Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
All right, so what will be your second tip?
I think someone that's generous. I think in a good sales team, you can spot out a good salesperson by going to the pub. Someone that's willing to give to the team, or shout a beer, or first one to get up to buy a beer or whatnot, tells a lot about a person. And I think also tells a lot about a salesperson.
Right. So does that mean that the lunch after this, you're going to be the one stepping up first to pay for it?
Of course. Yeah, definitely.
So what's your third one?
Third one is I think you've got to be a good leader and show the rest of the sales team that you're prepared to do something that they're not, which might be following the instructions of the manager or leader at the time that you necessarily don't agree with, but are happy to do so.
Wow, okay. Then?
I think the next one would be you have the ability to manage any personality type or age or sex. I find that sometimes good managers can only manage the same sex or the similar age to them. So working on managing everyone, I think, is a good, or even knowing how to get along with everyone in your office as a salesperson to step up as a manager.
But that's something that not everyone's born with, right? So
Correct.
That's something that you've been learning over the years from the conferences or the books you've been reading, right?
That's correct, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it is, I have struggled with it. I went from an all boys office into an actual pretty much majority female office.
Yeah.
At the start I did struggle with it a little bit because going from a boys club to a mixed office was a bit hard.
In what way? What was the hardest?
Just, with males, you can probably be a little bit more direct, I feel, because you are a bloke, you can usually be a little bit more direct with another bloke, but females are obviously a little bit wired a bit differently. So
did you have problems in the beginning? Did they cry? Did they complain about you bullying or whatever?
No, never bullied. I grew up with two sisters, so I was lucky enough to have a bit of experience, yeah. But yeah, look, there was, every female is a bit different in terms of managing, but
Yep.
I think overall it was a good learning curve for me, definitely.
Right. And what's your last tip?
You got to be the hardest worker in the room.
All right. This is a tough one, right? What does that mean? Does it mean you start first? Does it mean you leave last? Or does it mean you're more focused and intense when you're doing it? I mean, a minute ago we talked about balance. So if it's balance, you probably won't be the last all the time in the office. So what is it?
It's a mixture of a lot of things, but yeah, being first in the office is always, a good sign that obviously you're keen to be there and you're enjoying it. But as I mentioned before, while you're there doing what you're meant to be doing, and I think, it's important to lead from the front if you're going to be a manager. So if you can't lead from the front as a salesperson or as a person, then, you might not be ready to be a manager.
Okay. So right now, your team is about to enter Christmas. We're about 2 months away from Christmas.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with this team?
It's a good question. We're having a really good month at the moment. Things are going really well. We've gone back to some of the basics that we needed to go to. But I think...
well, hold on. What's the basics?
Well, basics of block out times, prospecting calls, certain number of appointments need to be done per day. I suppose going back to the system, because obviously things have changed in the last kind of 12 to 18 months. But moving forward, I think we're going to have probably a little bit more fun heading into the Christmas break with the warmer weather. We've got a challenge on at the moment, a weekly challenge, that if we hit a certain amount of exchanges, then we have drinks at 4 o'clock on a Thursday. So that's today, so that'll be good. And that obviously gets people refreshed and motivated to keep going. And I think we're going to probably, not take the foot off the pedal until, the 23rd or 24th of December. Right.
So you've planned already? So is it going to be just listings until December? Or is it still a balance of listing, sales and managing our listings?
Yeah, still a major balance, yeah. Just because you get listing doesn't mean you're going to get the sales, in my opinion. You could list a lot of overpriced listings and then be wondering where the sales are the next month. Definitely the 4 quadrants are very important, especially heading into the Christmas period when a lot of other agents will take their foot off the pedal. And it's a great time because you can really set up your year for 2020 in the last kind of 3 weeks of December.
That's one thing I've noticed about your team. Many offices, they think that, December and January are two very slow months. You guys keep on smashing records in those months. What is it that you do? I mean, obviously, as a manager, you must have done something for that to happen at that period of time. And you're probably doing it now. Hence my question again, what is it that you're doing now to make sure that those 2 months are really great months?
I think the team will look at what you're doing. Like if you're talking about holidays and what you're going to do over Christmas time and things like that, then they're obviously going to be thinking the same thing. If you're thinking that it's work, work, work until the 23rd of December, then it's a big, I suppose, indication.
Right.
But I think it's also just telling them, like, there are other teams that are going to be, not thinking about results in December. This is the time to shine. And I think goals goes back to there as well. Make sure you reset their goals back, because a lot of them will be thinking around Christmas time, but then they'll be thinking, okay, New Year, and everyone knows New Year, you usually have New Year's resolutions. So I think goals is a big one. And if you can get a month start on the competition, then obviously it's handy.
Yeah, you've mentioned goals a few times now, so I might as well just ask you. So how often do you set goals with your people, and can you be personal with their goals?
We can, but some salespeople won't let you be personal with their goals. Whether you don't have a good enough relationship with them or whether they are embarrassed by them, I'm not sure. But realistically, I think monthly or at least quarterly you should be sitting down and talking about their goals or resetting their goals with them.
Wow.
So, especially after they've achieved a big goal of theirs.
Yeah, do you find that some people actually are not goal-driven?
Yeah, definitely.
How do you drive those people?
I think they think they're not goal-driven, but everyone has wants in their life that they want. So everyone wants a new car or fancy suit or something like that. So although they might not think they're goal-driven, they are. They do want things, and I think you've just got to show them by putting things in place that they can get those small things they want, and they might not call them goals, but we do.
Yeah.
Then I think that helps them and also helps yourself.
Yeah, I get that. So what you're saying is that some people don't want to go for goals because they have probably never reached many of those goals, but they all have wants.
Yeah.
So those ones, they actually do get them, right? So what you're talking about is not about just goal-driven, but want-driven, right?
Correct. Yeah, want-driven, yeah, definitely.
Okay. May I really thank you so much for your time today. I think if anyone out there could take just 5 minutes, give you a call and ask you maybe one advice about what they're doing, I think that their career could really change for the better. Thank you so much for today, Kurt.
No worries. Thank you.
Thank you.